have decided to take a mental health day from work. So I'm going to film and see how much I can read today if I feel like reading. I'm definitely going to be listening to Insomnia. I'm halfway through and I'm going to be doing some cleaning. I'm about to take the dog for a long walk and then I'm going to do some crocheting. There's tons of new YouTuber videos today that I'm going to be watching. I have a video to edit that I want to get up. But as far as like my paid job and not hobbies, I'm going to be taking a mental health day today. We did just like a 15-minute walk because I've got to go clean a horse stall later and he'll get to run around a bunch while I do that. I have half of this left, like 240 pages, I think. And last night I read 150 from like 10:30 to 12:30. So I can potentially, that's actually fast for me. I can potentially get through this today if I try. And I think I'm gonna try. I was debating The Ballad of Black Tom because it's only 145 pages. I could definitely finish that today, and the library says it's due on the 17th. Today's the 14th. Happy Valentine's Day. But I think I'm gonna try and get through this. So I'm gonna do some of this project and chill for a little bit, and then this will be my evening relaxation, I think, if I start later. So I'll check in. So it's been about an hour and I have finished one side completely. I think I had it about a third finished, so I've done the other 2/3 of one side. So yeah, let me go spread this out and we'll see how much I've got done. Actually, I thought I was like here when I started. I'm pretty sure I was like here. I thought I only got to that corner, but it looks like, so I did this to this last night. So I actually did another corner. So I've done all of this. So all that's left is this little bit. I need to rejoin these. And then this edge. So this is roughly 24 inches. And then this is roughly 8. These are roughly 4. Some of them are a little looser. These are the ones that my friend did. And his stitching is a lot looser than mine. I like tighter tension. I should have put all these on the inside, but I wasn't thinking. So yes. So another like hour or less and this should be done. So maybe later tonight I'll listen to some stuff and finish it. But for now, Monday I recorded my foreshadowing and getting in the 9th video. So I'm going to edit that so that will go up Thursday morning and get that done. And then I am going, it'll be about 3 probably, and then I'll go do my horse chores, and then I'll come back and read. And hopefully somewhere in the middle of there I'll eat some food, but I don't feel like it right now. So I've got my video edited, and I'm pretty happy with it because I'm getting so much better at like cutting stuff out. And so I got it down from 32 minutes to 16 minutes and only talks about things that I think are actually important instead of just me rambling and rambling. Okay, so while I'm taking Miss Thing for a walk here, she's very excited about it, I thought I would catch you up with insomnia and what it is. So, because I said I'm listening to it. So this is a reread for me. I first read this book sometime in between 2003 and 2005 because I read it in high school. And, or maybe sometime between 2001 and 2005. And I distinctly remember the librarian asking me if I was going to read it or kill someone with it because the book is very big. So it follows Ralph, who's in his 70s, and after his wife passes, he starts getting some severe insomnia. And this lasts for quite a long time. And he starts seeing like auras around people, and he discovers that his friend Lois, who's like 68, also has been dealing with insomnia, and come on, girly, and is starting to see these auras too. So the two of them together end up going on this journey, basically. This is not a horror. This is one of Stephen King's books that I genuinely don't think is a horror. It's a suspense. Okay, come on, you just slow down. It's a suspense, and it's kind of, there's so much going on. The two of them end up seeing what what Ralph calls the little bald doctors, which are kind of like the fates, and they have the ability to end people's lives when they're suffering, but one of them has kind of gone rogue, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. So the one that's going rogue is cutting people's strings early. And in the backdrop of all of this, we have Ralph's neighbor who was abused by her husband, and she has a little like 1-year-old baby. And her husband is kind of, yes, are you bored? Her husband is kind of losing his grip on reality as well. He is also seeing these colors. We don't know for sure because all we have is Ralph's kind of impression of what's happening. So Ralph basically has an interaction with this guy after he beats his wife up. Not Ralph, but Ed Deepno, who's kind of like our villain for the story. He's beat his wife up, and she ends up going to a battered women's home and leaving him. And he is basically on this like anti-abortion tangent where he's like determined to protest this women's clinic that is in Derry. So this is one of the Derry stories, and they're protesting this clinic in very aggressive ways to the point where they're becoming violent. Yeah, but this feels very timely. And so they're all upset about this women's clinic and the speaker that's coming, and so this is all happening in the backdrop of Ralph, and we're learning that Ed is kind of entwined in all of this, and this is only at 50% in, so more stuff is going to happen that's more aggressive. And I love a lot of the thoughts on this. There's a big thing with grief because Ralph's wife has died. There's a big thing about society dismissing elderly folks because both of our characters are elderly. Okay, so we're doing our last walk before we go back into the stall. So one of the things I forgot to mention is that if you are a tower junkie like I am, this book is connected in a very tangential way. Like, you don't need to read The Dark Tower to understand this, and you don't need to read this to understand The Dark Tower, but so the two doctors, Lychus and Clotho, they reference the tower a couple of times, and then they also reference Ka. And I just, every time that I hear it referenced, I'm just like, oh my god, come on, girlie, come on. So they're like explaining that Atropos, which is, these are all just like names given by the main character. Atropos, who is randomly killing people, is actually supposed to do that. There are supposed to be random deaths in the world, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, it's part of just what they call Ka. Ka is wheel, Ka is fate, Ka is destiny, Ka is everything. And so it's just part of like living, basically, that you have a random chance of passing away. But the problem is Atropos has gone a little rogue, and he's not supposed to be as bad as he is. But Atropos is the random, and I've referenced this so many times, like, in my life. Like, anyway, I just get really excited when things reference the Dark Tower, because I read all these books because they were, like, related to the Dark Tower. So it means I probably read this in, like, 2003 or 4 when I was waiting for the last book to come out. So, yeah, honestly, the if you like the Dark Tower, I feel like this is one that is like, if it's close enough related and it brings in enough of the ideas that it's worth the read. It's so good. So here's the cutest thing. Look at her. Hi, girlie. Hi, little girl. Look at the little nose. Look at the little nose. I don't have treats right now. I'm gonna grab them. I don't know how I'm supposed to leave. I think his plan is that I don't. I know. Okay, so last night I had to stop in the middle of a chapter where, like, intense stuff was happening. And I knew kind of what was going to happen because I'd accidentally come across a spoiler, because every time I start reading something new and I mention it, Reddit sends me suggestions of subs. And those subs always, it's like, here's a thread in this sub about something that you're interested in. And the title is a massive spoiler. So I knew kind of what was going to happen, and I knew this was the chapter it was going to happen in because of the way the chapter was going. So I stopped in the middle of it, but still the way that it happened was a surprise. And yeah, so I'll catch you up. I'm not going to spoil it, but I'm reading Jade City, and this has been on my TBR for a while, and someone that I'm mutuals with on Instagram asked if anyone wanted to do a buddy read. So there's me and like 7 or 8 other people, I think. And it's just kind of a slow, casual buddy read. So I'm into it, but at the same time, I think because it's such high fantasy and I was in the middle of Kushiel's Chosen, my brain just wasn't wanting to brain with it. And now I'm able to. So I'm really enjoying it. So this is it's an urban fantasy. It's set in roughly the like 1970s-ish era. I saw on Reddit in an AMA, Fonda Lee said that it's set 25 years after the All Nations War, which is the equivalent of this World War II. So she was like, you do the math to figure out what time roughly that is. It's around the 1970s. There's no cell phones. And like there is like some other modern stuff. There's like payphones and like telephones exist and things like that, but there's no like cell phones. And this is a world where on this specific island of Kekon, which is kind of an amalgamation of different Asian cultures, or inspired by amalgamation of different Asian cultures. Nothing really pinpoints to anything. Everything's kind of like made up. It's essentially gang wars. So on this island, people who are a specific race have the ability to use Jade, which has magical powers for them specifically. They're called green bones, and they're trained in like different types of martial arts in order to be able to control the energy that comes through their body from the Jade, because it's very powerful. It gives them a few different things. One of the chapters explains it, like heightened perception, lightness, deflection, channeling. I think there's one more. Anytime they're using one of those things, it's like capitalized. It's a specific aspect of the Jade ability. So we have 2 major clans. The No Peak clan, which our protagonists that we're viewing the story through are part of. And then we have the Mountain, which our antagonists are from. And there's like a history between them, but in modern times, basically they're rivalries. There's a rivalry over the territories, but all of the clans have to come together to manage the jade mine so that not one clan has control over everything. But the mountain clan seems to be wanting more like power and control, while No Peak, the Pillar of No Peak, specifically was pretty happy with like, this is where we're at, we're stable, everyone's getting along, let's just stay here. And of course, we can't have a story without that being like pushed against. So that's kind of where we're at. There is, so the pillar is Lan. He's like pretty evil, pretty even-headed. Even keeled is what I was trying to say, which came out as eviled. He's even keeled. He's pretty stable. He's pretty level headed. And then we have Hilo or Hilo. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce it. He is the horn, and the horn is like the enforcer. It's like they call them like the head of the military side. And so he is a bit of a short fuse. He's quick to fight. But he is pretty good at his like strategic planning, even though he does seem very quick to action. I'm not the biggest fan of him, but because I don't like that short fuse thing, I really prefer Lan. But Shay is my favorite. Shay is the sister, and she left for a little while and didn't want anything to do with this. She moved to basically Spain because it's España. She moved there and went to school there as like a protest, basically, to like get away from her family. But she's being brought back into everything now, especially at this like midway point in the book. And then we have we have Granda, who is the former pillar, called Sen. So Sen is his name. He was like the pillar for a long time. He's a little bit senile now. He's very old. And then we have his weatherman, and he is the current weatherman still. And this is like your business advisor. So you have like a military advisor and a business advisor. So the weatherman runs the business, and his name is Doru, and he is a creep. He is an old creep. And so Shay left the family partially because he's an old creep and she hated him. And her grandfather like backed him up and was like, you don't know what he'd been through during the war. This happens. And Shay was like, fuck that. I'm not being around you creeps. And so she lost kind of all respect for her grandpa, who like made excuses for Doru's creepiness. So we have like some things where we're like, can we trust Doru or not? So that's going on. There's like internal things that we might not be able to trust. Our very last character is Andon, and he's a cousin whose family passed away and was taken under like the wing of Lan. Lan kind of acted as his uncle, even though he's his cousin. And they raised him and sent him to the academy so that he can like channel his learn to channel his ability and become a greenbone like everyone else in the family. And he's like just 18 or about to turn 18. I think he is 18. So he's pretty young, and so we get some chapters from him. I really like the way that Fonda Lee has done the chapters, even though I don't tend to like multiple POVs. The way that this one is done in a way that's really easy to tell who we're following, why we're following, and what's happening. And so it doesn't feel jarring. It just feels like a movie where we just switch to like what someone else is doing. And I've read so many fantasy books with multiple POVs that it's impossible to tell what's going on because of the character switching. I'm thinking specifically of Fathom Folk and Godkiller, where the POVs just irritated me. Like Fathom Folk was confusing. Godkiller, it wasn't necessary to switch POVs. But I'm enjoying the multiple POVs here because everyone's perspective is so different and important to the story and the things that they see, and everyone having seen different things and them not being around each other constantly and having different interactions. So yeah, I really like Shay, so I'm excited where the story's going at the moment, despite the big shakeup that just happened and me being a little bit like, I wish that didn't have to happen, but I understand why it did happen. So that's where we're at. Check-in. It's 8:20. I'm on page 330, so I have 160 pages left. 168 pages left. because this is 2 pages shy of me being able to use it for the big fantasy challenge, which is monthly fantasy books that are over 500 pages. 500 pages or over. It's 2 pages shy. It's 2. I'm like, can I just like use it because the paperback is 500 pages? Like, anyway. Yes. So my question is, can I finish those 160 pages before midnight tonight? Let's find out. Okay, it's 9:30. I have 108 pages left. I'm usually up till 1 o'clock. My boyfriend gets home from work around 12:45, most days, because they've been making them work overtime. So I am going to go take a shower, and then I think I can finish this last 100 pages tonight. And I'm kind of excited. So I'm going to go take a quick shower, and then I'm going to make myself a drink. And I'm going to go read in bed. That's the plan. Well, I'm going to take the dog out because he's going to need to go out. So we're going to do that. That's the plan. Look at this cute boy. He's excited for his greenie, his midnight snack. But he won't take it from my hand. I have to offer it. Good boy, go ahead. It's okay. Go ahead. And then he'll eat it, and I have to walk away and not watch him, or he'll stop again. I finished it. I finished it like 5 minutes before midnight. It's now just after midnight because I was trying to load it into Storygraph. But Storygraph's down for maintenance. So I finished Jade City, and I'm definitely continuing with the series. This was a 5-star. The family dynamics in here are amazingly well done. Like the different pressures put on different siblings from different family members, especially the way that it's handled, considering this is like a gang, basically. The use of the magic system is like consistent and clear and coherent, making the world building really easy to understand because everything's very consistent and you're never questioning. The character development and the arcs were just so good. I really liked how the 2 main women in this story start to interact with each other and the way that they handle it. And then, the 2 main women in the No Peak clan. And then the interactions between Shay and 8 Maida, the head of the mountain clan. The way that they interact and their different, like, ways of dealing with the misogyny and sexism in the worlds that they're in. The conversations around that were just so good. The like displays of masculinity and like the subtle like conversations around it, and the way that it's like handled in this world are just done really, really well and very nuanced and subtle. It's an all-around really good fantasy. If you like urban fantasy, I'm very happy with it. So to recap today, I read 226 pages of Jade City, and I listened to almost 3 hours. I listened to 177 minutes of Insomnia, so I still have another 9 hours of Insomnia left because it is very long. So, but yeah, I finished something today. I feel a lot better after taking the day to myself. I didn't get any of my cleaning done, but I got like some relaxing done, and I just had like a day to myself where I just tried to not worry about anything, and it was really good. So I'm glad that I'm like privileged enough to be able to do that I have the sick time that I can just take them without question. This time of year anyway. If it was a different time of year, it would be different. But yeah, so that's a little what I did in a day, as far as reading and stuff goes. I'm going to maybe for the rest of the night while I wait, I've got like half an hour till my boyfriend comes home, so I might play some Animal Crossing maybe, or I might just continue to lay here and doom scroll, but I'll probably play some Animal Crossing. So thanks for spending the day with me, and hopefully this was entertaining, and I'll see you next time. He puts his little paw over his head when he wants the light turned off. He's in a mood. Look at that face. Well, you can see his face, but
Look at the cute boy. Look at the cute paws. Look at those paws.